Hello world, this is Ilya from rather cold Prague. This is another video on the man-women topic, and this time it is men's turn. It is time to uncover what is wrong with the modern man. You will see that a lot more is wrong than you realize and much deeper than you can imagine. So hold tight, it will be a bumpy ride. Now, it is important to understand that men and women in that regard, we do not fall from the sky, and we're all products of three main factors: mother, family, and society, in this same order of importance. If not traced properly, disruptions to these factors can have massively negative impact to a child and man's development. What I will do now is a quick comparative analysis with the most important phases on how males grew up historically, from the beginning of time until some 100 years ago, and how men are raised today. Idea behind this is to see how much we have departed from the normal, natural way of raising males. First stage, of course, is motherhood, and the most important stage. Why? Mother love gives the child, the boy, emotional strength, emotional regulation and empathy, aids social skills and cognitive development. These strengths the boy will later use to socialize, make friends, face adversities and life like a man, and approach women, of course. Now here comes the first surprise. Motherhood as the most important phase ends at around the age of 2 years. Yes, you heard right. Motherhood phase ends and the phase called separation and individuation starts. Let me stress on this point. A boy, a child must separate from the mother in order to properly individuate later in life. This is psychology, not me. Look it up. Nowadays, in many Western countries, societies, and America especially, it has been normalized for a mother to work. In America, this can be as early as 2 weeks after birth. Motherhood again is the most important part in our lives. If not properly done, consequences are lifelong and devastating. Negatively affected are emotional regulation and strength, empathy, social skills and cognitive development. In psychology, depriving your baby of essential care constitutes child neglect, and this in turn constitutes child abuse. Yes, that's right. Look it up. Now, second most important phase in our lives is a small degree socialization phase. Remember, there is a large degree separation and individuation and small degree socialization phase, which starts at around the age of 3-4. The young boy would start exploring the outside world by socializing and playing with his peers. Historically, since the beginning of time, a father or another male would slowly, gradually take over from the mother and become the leading figure, the role model. He has the job of pushing the boy towards manhood. Today, mothering continues with the mother being the more active or even the dominant parent. In the worst case scenario, a single parent. Single mothers tend to isolate their children. All this means is a distortion to the second most important phase, the socialization phase. In modern society, boys, instead of having a father as a role model and being properly socialized, they're more and more isolated by their mothers and surrounded by other female teachers usually. Result: consequences is a compromised and undermined individuation process and a missing masculine role model. Such a boy cannot develop a healthy ego or identity and masculinity, and will seek external validation for the rest of his life. In other words, we have less masculinity and more narcissism. Motherhood period, together with the socialization phase, comprises the most important phase for a child. This is the first 7 years. And this years sets the child for success or failure in life. Again, this is psychology. Now, the second surprise. Historically, at the age of 7 or 8, the boy becomes a man. Yes, a man. You heard right. Since the beginning of time until some 100 years ago, manhood and womanhood started at around the age of 7, 8. How I know? My grandfather told me. My grandfather at the age of 7 went to the nearest town to become an apprentice cook. Remember the movie 300? The Spartans boy started training at the age of 7. Many commented, this is not chill, this is madness. Wrong. This is not madness and this is not just Sparta. This is life. Or this was life since the beginning of time. Again, since the beginning of time, all our grandfathers became men at the age of 7. Mine was a Spartan cook. Your grandfathers were Spartan farmers, Spartan carpenters, Spartan sailors, soldiers, etc. I hope you spoke to your grandfathers. The American novel Three Little Women, remember their age? They were 8 years old. So this applies for women too. So let me recap. Historically, not only the mother was not the primary caretaker of a 5-6-year-old boy, but she was not even around a 9-10-year-old man. Mothers were primarily involved with babies and very little children. Okay, so the man grows now. He's 15, 18. The man, not the boy, would have a profession at this point of time, would have savings, even a house. He's confident, masculine, and with a future. At 18, 20, he's fully capable of committing and forming a family. This was again since the beginning of time until 100 years ago, when the modern industrial society started shaping the world that is today. And what is it today? What is life for a boy today? At the age of 7, the boy continues to be a boy. Same at 10, at 15 and 18. At 15, 18, the supposed to be a man becomes sexually active. At this age, we most need a partner and we should normally be having one. However, there is no real man with prospect in life. The young men today have often been deprived of proper mothering and socialization. They're without emotional strength and empathy and social skills. They're without a profession and financial security. While historically a man at this age, 18-20, was almost at his prime, they're now at their lowest, just at the time when we most need a partner. Inevitably, at this point, frustration and misery kicks in and must be of unimaginable levels. And these can only be drowned in addictions, in alcohol, drugs, porn. You know it, you know from the statistics. And isolation, of course. And there can be no other way, given how they're being raised. Boys and young men today are being raised almost the opposite way of what is the natural and normal way. We have horribly departed from normality. So you see, crisis with masculinity is only the surface. I hope you start to realize the issues are much deeper and that the West has horribly departed from the natural way of raising boys. What people do not understand is that since the beginning of time until now, this very moment, societies have mostly focused on women's issues and well-being, considering that all it takes is to make a woman happy and all else will follow and will be fine. Children will continue popping up and they'll be fine. However, in the meantime, women mothers started taking care of boys, which is way beyond their competence. The real travesty comes with mothers taking care of 8, 10, 15-year-old men. I hope you start to realize how deep the rabbit hole is. Thank you and God bless you.